Welcome to the Hockey Hub. Sophia and Casey here with you. We have a different show today, Casey. We're both remote. That's because I'm at
Mhm.
the TD Garden where I don't know if you can hear the pucks kind of hitting along the boards and the glass, but the Florida Panthers just wrapping up one of their practices. Of course, fans know by now that tomorrow on Tuesday, Brad Marchand makes his return to the Garden on the ice because he's already been back after the trade deadline. Florida played right after, but he was injured. He didn't play. So he's back on the ice for the first time. So just a bit of an unusual show. Wanted to set it up for people. We're going to start. Casey and I are going to start. We're going to go over the last three games on the road trip. Unfortunately, three losses for the Boston Bruins. We'll talk a little bit about that. But of course, as soon as Brad Marchand's press conference begins, and it's going to start in about 10-15 minutes, I'm going to jump off. We're going to play the press conference for the fans live. So, guys, tune in, stay tuned. You're going to hear everything from Brad Marchand. And then, Casey, you're going to carry the show by yourself. All right. So, Godspeed.
You've taught me well, Sophia. You've taught me well. So we'll figure it out. The most important thing is everything leading into tomorrow, which is quite a bit, including Brad Marchand.
Totally. I'm so glad we can have a presence here. I am told I'm going to get a one-on-one with Brad, so we're going to have that in our pregame show. If we have enough time, we'll flip it, put it in the podcast, but it'll be all over socials. Before we talk about the road trip, just wanted to set the scene here at the Garden. I feel like I want to move my camera around, but that's going to probably screw up the shot. So I'm not going to do it, but there is a ton
What's the
of media
vibe?
here. Yeah, yeah, ton of media. It's not our game, it's an ESPN game. So but we will have pre and post on us. And so I want everyone to know we will have pre and post, including a one-on-one. But that being like ESPN's here, Hockey Night in Canada is here. Like there's a ton of media. And I go to some away team practices, several throughout my career, and it's really busy because as you're saying, that is the man of the hour. Like I'm so excited to find out what's going through his mind, his emotions. I've been told that he bought what we'll find out in the press conference, but like 60 tickets. So he's going to have half the lower bowl or something here with him. But I imagine, Casey, that the Bruins fans, even though it's on the other team and they don't like the Florida Panthers, they'll be rooting for him.
Oh, big time. Because we've still heard till this very day from the beginning of this season, how much everyone is still kind of getting acclimated to talk about him being a Florida Panther. And like, what I'm really interested to see, like vibe wise, temperature wise, and just kind of attitude wise, is like we saw Florida just completely take Brad Marchand and like completely like bring him in and like live off of and build off of the personality that everybody loves so much. But with all of the injuries happening to the Florida Panthers, like now he needs to be a leader on that team and not just a natural leader in his veteran presence and his experience in the NHL, but like he's got to help lead these guys and work on that mental muscle with a different team. And now doing that in his former home base. So I wonder how weird that all is going to collectively be.
I'm sure it is weird. I mean, he's been with the Bruins for 16 years, seasons, and yeah, I mean, this was his home. He's seen the Garden go through renovations, Warrior Ice Arena. He knows the traffic very well. It's probably weird not taking your own car to the Garden and parking in your spot and saying hi to security coming up through the back elevators like you do. You're coming off the bus as a visitor. It's weird. I
Ugh.
mean, it's just weird, right? I think there's listen, he signed. He didn't have to. He signed with Florida. He wanted that. He made that decision. So it's not like he was traded with 3 years left in a contract where you're like, does he really want to be here or not? Like he wants to
Mhm.
be in Florida. And they won a Stanley Cup. And so there are a couple things that I would say like you check off the list in terms of awkwardness. It's like he wasn't traded and like I said, has to live out the rest of his contract. This is a decision to be here. And
Yeah.
again, and that says enough. But yeah, it's going to be weird. I'm very curious to see what the video tribute is going to be for the Boston Bruins. We haven't officially known that that's going to happen, but they do that for players coming back. And I
Mhm.
think, like I said yesterday on the show, he's going to put up a couple points. He just First of all, you see it a lot. You see it with lesser talented players that when they're facing their former team, they usually get a goal or something. I don't know if it's like
Oh,
the
yeah.
buzz or the read on the goalie or whatever it is, right? They
A
get a goal.
statement.
So yeah, Brad Hattie. I mean, I'm not predicting a Brad Hattie, but and obviously I want the Boston Bruins to snap this four-game losing streak, but regardless, if he gets an assist, if he gets a point, like the crowd's going to go wild for him, and I think we do this one time, and then I think everyone wants to move on after that, him included.
Yeah, I think this officially helps everyone turn the page because, like you said, when they first came back after the trade, he wasn't playing. And then it was this whole could he come back? Will he come back? And now the decision has been final, but playing on the ice will add to the finale of it. And like, I'm right there with you in terms of like the ability to make these statement responses or returns because he's also back to that leadership point of what the Florida Panthers need him to be right now. Like, the third line, which was extremely electric for the Florida Panthers throughout playoffs, like that's their top line right now because of all the injuries. So this is going to be the workhorse line for a number of reasons to make sure that the Florida Panthers, who are on their own losing skid, can try to make this interesting. And I'm sure that there's an extra pep in their step for Brad Marchand because we know that this is like one of those teams that they live for a narrative and they live for the narrative to fall in favor of whatever they want it to be. So it's going to be probably a really exciting game, but a little bit closer than what it would have been a couple weeks ago. It's at least my
Yes,
hope and prediction because of everything going on.
totally, and I definitely wanna talk about this four-game losing streak that the Bruins are riding and the Florida Panthers. So maybe we can, talk about that, but I wanna give my thoughts just really quick on setting up tomorrow's game. Like you said,
Mhm.
Florida Panthers on a bit of a losing streak, Brad facing his former team. If I know anything about Brad, it's that when there's a will, there's a way with him, and he could will almost anything into existence because of just, like, his energy and his the way he is, and I know regardless who they're playing, like he's sick of a four-game losing streak. The team's sick of a four-game losing streak, and especially against his former team, he is going to do everything in his power to win. And the Bruins have to be ready for that. And I know we said that against Colorado, you got to be ready. We said that against
Mhm.
Tampa, they were riding. I think they were winless when they came into the Garden. If I'm not wrong, they were winless.
Tampa?
They
Yeah.
s Yeah, yeah, they got off to a hot start, and we say this a lot, like, "You gotta be ready," but for real, do you know what I mean? You have to be really, really ready for fire coming out of Brad Marchand and the Panthers, and I hope the Bruins can match that energy because, and I'll get your thoughts on this, I don't even wanna talk about, like, the skill of the X's and O's and entries, like, all that's very important, but can they match the energy when it's needed of them too? Because that's a big deal.
Yeah, well, I mean, like we opened the show kind of getting that tidbit of Marco talking about the mental of it. And that in itself is going to be the most important because you don't start off the season 3-0 and like you opened up versus the freaking Capitals for crying out loud. So it's just kind of finding a way to get back to where you mentally felt sound, where you mentally felt strong. And like sometimes that's hard to do because now we see Sturm blending up the lines and just kind of trying to find what works. So it could be deflating to some of the guys who want to make sure that they can be an impact on this team. And then, oh, by the way, one of the biggest figureheads for the Boston Bruins is now back in town. So I feel like there's a way to kind of push beyond their own mental muscle of what's been taking place over the past couple of games and kind of make this a new statement win, hopefully, versus Brad Marchand to be like, okay, like you set down a great foundation here. So they can almost honor what he laid down here, but then honor Marco Sturm in the new era all in one. So I feel like the mental muscle can have a reprieve because of everything going on with Brad Marchand being in town. And then they just kind of get back to their game because that's all Marco Sturm has talked about, the mental muscle and getting back to their game.
Yeah. Oh, well, they definitely need to get back to it. This winless road trip, 4 straight losses now, dating back to their loss to the Tampa Bay Lightning, which when I saw that, I was like, "Oh, you know what? They didn't beat themselves." There were some glaring mistakes, but then they got back in it. Like, it was an exciting game, and I think when we had Marina on, I was saying like, "Hey, they're not gonna win every game, but they're gonna be exciting to watch." But in some of the periods, and then I'm thinking like Vegas in particular, it was like, "Oh, this isn't fun to watch." Like these are mental mistakes, these are bad entries, they're like losing the puck at the blue line. Stuff
Hmm.
that you want just like no team. It's like you practice this, it's just like part of the game. Like no team needs to go over like the little details. It's the big ones when you're getting outmatched, outplayed. I understand that. It's when you're beating yourself that's frustrating. What were some of the negatives? We'll start there, and then we can look at the positives. But any negatives, any takeaways in this for you for this four-game losing streak with the Bruins?
Well, yeah, because a big factor that was a part of most of it was just the turnovers. And like that can be so deflating, especially when you're mentally trying to stay like, attuned to something because it's just like, if not for that, and especially the ones that turned into goals, like we're talking about a completely different game in some instances.
Mhm.
That was a big problem versus the Lightning. It was a problem versus Colorado, more so. And then like they just really didn't look like they were able to settle in versus the Vegas Golden Knights. So it's just like that is probably one big factor. But Brick kind of talked about it leading into the season. And like, I feel like on the mental aspect of things, you're just kind of seeing a bit of a delay in these players being decisive sometimes. And when you're going against quick paced teams, when you're going against teams that have chemistry, that have played together for a minute now, like they're always going to have the jump on you pace wise, while you're kind of taking that extra second to be decisive. And a lot of that can play into the new system that's coming in, or that's now here for the Boston Bruins. So on the negative scope of things, it's just kind of like time feels like it's not on their side because of the acclimation to the new system, because of now these blended lines, because they need to figure out what works. They need a two-way game out of almost every player to make Marco's system work. But now we're going off the high of starting the season 3-0 to the losing streak without realizing like there was supposed to be an acclimation period. So maybe a retro positive to all of this is it's happening now.
Yeah. I mean, I hope so, because you know what? I was just thinking as you were talking, we've seen interim coaches come in the middle of the season. We've seen head coaches get fired and then a new one's hired right away. And you got to learn a system in the middle of the season. And sometimes I've seen teams completely take a new direction in a positive way. I mean, usually when a coach
Mhm.
is getting fired, it's because they're in a downturn and a down streak or whatever, that he's lost the voice. So we've seen that mid-season. It's like we've had a summer, we've had a training camp, and yes, I know it, takes a while and you've got new players, but you hope that acclimation comes sooner than later. And
Mhm.
maybe it's going to be, maybe because we're in a season now and because the games are back to back and it's like such a condensed schedule, that it'll happen quicker as opposed to through long practices, which helps too. Obviously,
Yeah.
with training camp, I'm not taking that away, but we want that to happen. We want that to happen soon. The power play, I'm glad yesterday they got on the board with that, but still,
They
what
still
I've
gotta
been
figure some
disappointed.
things out.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
And what I was disappointed about was that, we were talking about it yesterday on the show, is that Pasta is an obvious offensive threat on the power play.
Mhm.
But what makes a really good power play is you want the penalty kill, the other team, worrying that any one of those guys on the ice, those 5 guys, is gonna shoot the puck and score. And
Yeah.
Pasta's getting, double covered sometimes, or they're just anticipating that he's gonna shoot. I want Charlie McAvoy, who's quarterbacking that, to make teams feel like he might shoot from the blue line, from the point, and score. And then that Zaka's got a great wrist shot. So Zaka's going to be in front, or someone's going to be there to pick up the rebound. And
Yeah.
so anytime anyone has the puck, and that's when the Bruins power play was really successful. And again, I'm naming some of the best players to ever play the game. But you have David Krejci, Patrice Bergeron, um, David Pasternak, and you had Torrey Krug, and they would mix things up. Like, you were worried any one of them would score, not worried
Mhm.
if you're a Bruins fan, and any one of them could have, but right now it doesn't feel like the teams are worried about that, and I want Zacha to get more, and Pasta, obviously, and Charlie McAvoy, and whoever else, Morgan Geekie, whoever else is there with them, Casey Middlestat. So that's my takeaway, and there are other
Yeah.
things. What about your thoughts on and entries? But that's a whole other
Yeah.
story.
Well,
What about you with the power play?
so to that note or whatever, because like, yeah, McAvoy, we talked about it coming into the season and stuff. And we mentioned it on air the other week, actually. It's just like there's a number of times that they're losing time and they're losing opportunities because things aren't being held down at the point. A lot of pucks have gotten past McAvoy when they're trying to get a power play going. And then before you know it, they're back in their own zone, trying to recollect, trying to reset up. And now the other team already kind of has their number, i.e., how do we continue to keep David Pastrnak out of the mix? Number one. Number two, how do we keep Elias Lindholm from being net front? Because if you watched any film from the first 2, 3 games, you knew exactly where he was going to be and how he was going to try to
Casey?
contribute. Are we ready to
Sorry,
go?
girls. Sorry to cut you off. Yeah, we said this is going to be
We're good.
a janky show. So we're going to send it to break right now in the Hockey Hub, guys. If you're with us, we're going to come back with hopefully Brad Marchand already at the podium, or at least we'll be waiting to get there. He should be up any moment. Casey, hopefully we'll talk to you later. Good luck with the rest of the show. We're going to send it to break. We'll be right back after this.
All right, welcome back into the Hockey Hub. As promised, Sophia's on the scene getting the Brad Marchand presser. So make sure you guys stick with us here on the Hockey Hub for that. We'll be throwing to it as soon as he hits the podium. But in the meantime, his new coach, Paul Maurice, had some words on Brad Marchand. Take a listen right here.
I think be accused of being blind, but I don't think you fully appreciate somebody's hands until you get on the ice with them in practice. And you can see it in the game. And he scored a couple of goals in the final that were just incredible. But that was the first kind of, hey, I didn't really know that. It's like Matthew Tkachuk's hands. Most of the incredible stuff gets pulled off in practice. They get a little more room. They're trying stuff. So that would have been the first thing. And everything else was as advertised. He's a gamer. He's just loves coming to the rink. We've had, I think they're really important, some of the older players, and we've had that. We had Eric Stahl and Mark, really, but Eric, his love of the game allowed him to go from being an all-star centerman to our fourth-line center, and love it. Love coming to the rink. So good for the young players to see an older veteran champion come to the rink and seemingly love all parts of it. Excited about the breakfast we're getting. You know, he's just wired from the time he gets up. So that joy that he brings to the rink, it's great for the young players to see somebody that hasn't jaded, it's not road, but after a while, maybe you stop noticing all the good things that we have here, and he appreciates it.
A lot of the leadership out of the lineup. Did that change anything for Brad, or is it just himself?
No, he was full on. Like, usually it takes you a couple weeks, get to know the new guys before you're walking around the room chirping everybody. It was the first hour. He did that in an hour. Got that figured out. So he's been himself and vocal, and those of you who've covered Boston for years, incredibly positive, even when things aren't going right. He's the guy trying to fix it, and he's the guy talking about it. So he's been a great leader for us. The captains on teams, they learn that leadership craft over time, and he has it.
I'm sure it surprises none of us that it took him all of probably an hour to get acclimated with the Florida Panthers. Maybe still a tough pill for us all to swallow, but still a presence that's going to be missed and completely honored in that matchup versus the Bruins at TD Garden tomorrow. Another cool point that Paul Maurice just mentioned there is like the lack of ability to appreciate one's hands until you see them on the ice at practice. And I feel like that's another thing that just kind of was a narrative for Brad Marchand and what he means to the Boston Bruins and now what he means to the Florida Panthers. He's just always had an underestimated game. And Sophia and I have talked about it quite a bit. Like, he has the ability to play bigger than himself. But from everything Paul Maurice just said, heading into tomorrow's matchup, it's the fact that the Florida Panthers have a leader and a guy with like a mental strength in Brad Marchand. And of course, as a previous captain, he knows how to make sure that he's maintaining the energy, bringing the energy, being that for every teammate, and being the love of the game and showing the love of the game. Like, you see him right here. He's always connecting with players. He's always chit-chatting. If he's not goofing off and making sure that people are just staying lighthearted and in a good mood, then like he's helping with aspects of the game. And that helps level up the mentality for everyone around them, which is something the Panthers, I want to say on a good note, are probably going to need versus the Boston Bruins team that are looking to dig out of their own hole. And so you got two teams that I'm not going to label desperate on this one quite yet, but have a lot of factors to finally turn the tide on the success or lack thereof that they've been finding over the past couple of games. But it's different to see Brad Marchand, like you guys can see right here on your screen, on the ice in the Florida Panthers jersey. Like, we kind of already got a glimmer of this. I think it's really going to hit everyone when he's suited up to play in the game versus the Bees tomorrow night. Some other things that we'll be keeping an eye out for is how the Panthers plan to make this a complicated, tough matchup. They're not trying to copy and paste the hard to play against, and Marco Sturm's just waiting for these guys to kind of turn the page mentally. We saw some line changes take place on the road trip, and as we've mentioned time and time again, and if you guys are watching the pre and post game show, you know, with the new system in play, with all of the pieces they're trying to figure out, getting that top six to not just be involved, but to be consistently involved is one aspect that Marco Sturm's looking for. We saw yesterday that Pavel Zacha moved into that center position on the second line. Casey Middlestat ending up being a healthy scratch there. Something that wasn't all that surprising, because when the Boston Bruins got into training camp, even though there was 100 questions about the role of Pavel Zacha, Marco Sturm said it from day one. Don Sweeney said it from day one. You know, we love him at center. He's a great centerman, but we might need him at wing. They gave that a try, but the defensive responsibility that would take place in a hybrid system is probably why we might see a couple more line changes take place, and where a guy like Zaka, who has such a defensive capability so consistently, has helped out tremendously on that end with this team, game in and game out, whether or not it'll hold up for him to anchor on that second line center or for him to punch back out at wing. We saw some good strides, some good energy the night before when he ended up being on the left wing of that top line, but there's a natural chemistry between him and Pasta, of course, and then Elias Lindholm, who seems to be back in rare form himself. The bottom six seem to be a little bit more intact, or at least the third line. A little bit of a change up there. Mikey Eyssimont rejoined Tanner Jeannot and Fraser Mitten. And while they had loads of opportunities, you saw another breakaway opportunity for Fraser Mitten trying to get on the scoreboard for the Bees. You saw loads of shots on goal by Tanner Jeannot. You're looking to get that preseason form of Mikey Eyssimont yet again, but depending on how he's weathering defensive responsibility for a winger in this system, we'll see how that turns to come into play. Beecher got into the mix on the road trip, and then Viel also got in the mix on the fourth line on the road trip. So just a couple moving pieces to see how the Bees will compete. But speaking of the road trip, let's hear from Brick with his one-on-one on Marco Sturm from last night.
Marco, the effort to compete certainly looked real good from where we sat. Played a smarter hockey game. It looked like a team that didn't want to go home empty-handed. How did you evaluate your team's performance tonight?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Guys battled really hard. We didn't deserve going home empty tonight, that's for sure.
Yeah, when you challenge your top-end guys to be more impactful in a positive way, nice response by David Pastrnak. Your thoughts on his performance?
Yeah, no, he was much better today. All of them, they just were more involved. They knew to. Yesterday, the last few games, it was not good enough, and I'm glad they responded today.
And finally, it was a 2-2 game going into the third period. What's the message to the group at that point in the locker room before you come out for the third?
No, we felt pretty good. I got to say, we wanted to play them 5-on-5. That's it. Because they knew when we play them 5-on-5, we have a pretty good chance to win this hockey game. But again, a little mistake. It's a tough league. A little mistake ended up in our net, and that's we got to continue to work on.
Thanks for your time. Thank you.
All right, as promised, everyone, we are going to have the Brad Marchand presser coming up here shortly. We got to head to another quick break here on the Hockey Hub, so don't go anywhere. We'll catch you guys on the other side. All right, welcome back into the Hockey Hub. Before we hear from Brad Marchand, let's take a listen to Pasta last night after the loss to the Mammoth. Oh, all right. Here we go. Waiting to hear from Brad here shortly. I'm trying to see if we've got other sound from last night as we continue to round out the Bees road trip. Unfortunately, again, not being able to collect any wins quite yet, but they were able to see some changes and see what corrections that they'll bring against the Florida Panthers at TD Garden tomorrow night. Let's try to give Pasta another sound right about here. Stick with us. Take a listen.
Yeah, obviously tough results at the end. Take, again, too many penalties, letting the best players, feel good, so eventually they can bite you in the ass. And, we came up one short. Overall, 5-on-5, I thought, actually our game was pretty good, much better than previous games on the road trip. So, tough road trip for us. We're going to have to go back home to our home and in front of our fans and regroup, and some important home games coming up, so gonna have to go home and regroup.
How did it feel getting 2 goals for yourself tonight, and after Vegas you were saying you kind of wanted to produce more?
It's tough to comment on it. After a game like this, obviously I'd rather get a win. It's nice, but never feels good when you lose. So.
The last 3 or 4 games, it's been hard to work with a lead. You did have it in the second period there for whatever it was, 8 or 10 minutes. Did you feel there you were getting some confidence?
Yeah, I mean, I in that moment, I thought again, 5-on-5, we were all over them. I think obviously we had some breakdowns at the front of the net that can't happen. That Corpi was standing on his head again first period. So we talked about it. So when we had that lead in the second, I actually thought we played a pretty good game, but again, including me, just tough penalties. We have to avoid those. Like our penalty kill is so good, but we can rely on them night in and night out. And same with our goaltenders. They're there for us. So more 5-on-5 hockey. I think we're gonna come up with many more wins.
Marco was saying that the game in Denver, he wanted more out of you and Zox. Did you?
Yeah, tough game for us. Flip the page and I focused for today. It was tough, obviously. We all saw it.
Yeah. We won't see you again, so if you had asked this question, you'll see Marshy on Tuesday. Will it be weird to see him?
Yeah.
In the other uniform and the other team?
Yeah, I haven't got too many thoughts about it yet, obviously. But yeah, definitely gonna be weird. Probably when we get home tomorrow, start thinking. It's been a long time brewing, so pretty sure it's gonna be special and hard at the same time for him. But for us, we have other stuff to worry about. So it'll definitely be good to see him back, but at the same time, you have to maintain your focus.
He chirps everybody. Do you think he'll chirp his old teammates?
Oh yeah, he's for sure gonna be all over. He's gonna run his mouth and can't wait for the matchup. It'd be really fun and maybe he will be too nice. We'll see.
Of course, he's going to run his mouth. Well, Brad Marchand is getting ready to walk in right here. And to Pasta's point, there we go. All right, let's take a listen to Brad Marchand.
Brad, you already kind of had somewhat of a reverse game back return.
Yeah.
How is this different, being out there actually?
Yeah, it'll be more emotional, obviously, being back there. Last year it was kind of a weird timing. It was 2 or 3 days after I got traded, so it was a bit of a tough time. Also, I didn't see anybody before I left, so it was good to be able to kind of come back and say goodbye to everyone. I was pretty happy I wasn't playing that game, but I'm excited for this one. It'll be fun to compete against my guys that I've played with for a long time and be on the other side of it in here. I'm sure it'll be a pretty intense game, so it'll be fun to play in front of the Bruins fans again, and so I'm excited.
What are you anticipating from the fans? Your game is one that maybe doesn't endear you to the opposing fan base, but it's a little different here.
Yeah, I'm sure it's going to be tough on some people. Like, they won't be able to cheer because I know they don't like the Panthers very much. But maybe they'll like me enough to give it a little yay out there or something. But yeah, no, I think that it'll be. I think there'll be a little bit of love there. Maybe if I do something good, if I do something bad, they'll probably boo me pretty quick. But they're pretty passionate here, so they might have forgot already and just treat me like any other Panther player.
Paul said it took you about an hour to start chirping in the locker room when you got to Florida. What do you attribute that to, be able to recreate yourself so quickly?
Well, I just didn't like anybody, so I was gonna let them know. No, it's just me, right? Like that. I think that's how I make things a little less awkward, maybe, or just lighten up the mood a little bit. But they also have. We got a great locker room that makes it very easy to walk into, and a lot of guys like chirping in there too. So it makes it easy just to follow in. I think a lot of guys understood that it was a bit of a tough position for me leaving Boston, and really tried to make me feel comfortable there. So really appreciated, guys kind of going out of their way to make it easier on me coming in. And it did. It was also tough because I wasn't playing, so I wasn't around a ton. So it definitely helped with the transition a lot.
Where do you have to come in tomorrow?
So just like local friends and my wife and kids are here, in-laws. That's it. I think more people watching from afar.
Have you connected with anyone yet, or will you tonight?
Oh, I think they're getting in later this evening. So I'll probably not tonight, maybe tomorrow night after the game. Yeah.
How about you coming?
Oh, I saw. Yeah, I went to dinner with Bergie and Z and Tuke and Quater last night. So that was a nice reunion. A bunch of old guys sitting together reminiscing.
Battles and practices, but what's it going to be like going up against some of your former teammates?
It'll be different for sure, being on the other side of it. You always want to go in and there's a respect factor and a love for the guys, but it gets pretty intense pretty quick out there. It takes one guy kind of even bumping you the wrong way and, emotions get high. They have a very competitive team, aggressive style and guys compete. So, I mean, it's just naturally going to be elevated. I'm sure it'll be, we'll keep the nice chatter for before or after.
There's a lot of leadership out of this lineup right now. Did you have to consciously assume a little more of that, or how did you approach this?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think at this point I just kind of am who I am, and I just I just try to be myself, and it's tough when you lose a guy like Barkey and Chucky. Chucky's a very vocal guy in the room and on the ice and in practice and kind of everywhere, where Barkey just kind of leads by example, and obviously he plays big minutes. So it's hard to replace guys like that, and same with Cooley and Nosey being out. Cooley's a very vocal guy, kind of always laughing and lightening up the room, and so it's hard when you lose guys like that. They're really hard to replace. So I just try to chat a bit and try to be a little bit more vocal. But other than that, we still have a ton of leadership in the room and a lot of guys that don't need to be led. They just they go about their business and they're really good pros.
Who paid for dinner last night?
They bullied me. I had to. Yeah.
How do you prepare for something tomorrow, emotionally and mentally?
I think I'm just excited about it. I'm just going to try to enjoy it. I don't really know what to expect, emotionally. I think the closest I got to being on the other side was being here for Team Canada and against Team USA. And even that was a little bit different, I would say, and in the way that I felt. But yeah, I'm just excited about it. It'll be fun to be back here. It'll be fun to play the Bruins. It'll be fun to play against teammates and have friends and family in the building again. So, I'm just going to, these are things that down the road I think I'll really appreciate. And there's been enough moments that I kind of went through and I didn't take it in enough or I didn't really appreciate it. And, this is one that I will make sure that I do.
When Matt Sundin went back to Toronto, he was so taken by the he couldn't do a face-off. Could you, knowing how emotional you are and how much you love it, could you see that happening?
Yeah, for sure. Luckily, I'm not a centerman, so I don't have to take the face off. But yeah, for sure. I mean, I kind of thought about it for the first time last night. Being here, I was actually going to dinner, and on the way over, I was kind of thinking about it and started to get a little emotional. Just, it kind of hits you when you're here a little bit more. I haven't thought about it a ton up until this point, but I think that's probably why I don't, because I know I'll get emotional about it, but yeah, it'll be hard not to. I mean, there's too many memories, and I was here too long for it not to. Maybe tomorrow. Rule of odds, not tomorrow.
What does that mean to you, sort of that number, sort of reflecting on how you got there?
Yeah, I think the craziest thing is kind of how I got there. Once I had my first stint, I played 20 games. I think I had an assist in my first game, and then nothing across the board after that. It was looking like a pretty slim chance I was going to be, a top-line guy here in this league. I think we all kind of thought maybe it'd be fourth line and hopefully move up from there. But I think it was a great wake-up call that, it's a very difficult league to be in and have success in. So, I learned a lot just from that little stint. And so from when you look at that first 20-game window, where I am now, it's been a pretty incredible run. And I remember when I was 16 or 17 years old, my buddy got drafted to the Mooseheads, and Bobby Smith was the owner, and someone said he had 1,000 points in the NHL, and I was like, that's insane. Like, the chance of playing 1,000 games, or, you need 20 years to, 15 healthy years, and a lot of guys need more than that to do it. That's crazy. So to have that many points is a pretty spectacular stat. So yeah, I mean, hopefully can get there, and it will be something that I'll be very, very proud of if it does. And you look back, it's been a pretty magical run, one I never ever thought that I'd be blessed to have, but very grateful for it.
The last game, Brad, are you aware in the heat of the moment that you have Darlene's helmet?
Oh yeah. I actually thought I did a great job at restraining myself, because I wanted to toss it into the crowd. But might have been a little more than a fine if I did that.
So that was plan B, to go to the box?
Yeah, that was it. It was either I throw it or I rip it, and I ripped it. Probably should have just put it down next time.
Obviously, like we talked about, a lot of fans are really, going to give you a warm reception, but you have that now in Florida as well.
Yeah.
Really, the guys get to kind of be beloved by two different fan bases. Just, especially now, as you said, if you get farther along in your career, just what's your relationship like with the fans? How much do you just appreciate?
I love it. Yeah, I love interacting with the fans, and my wife actually said that to me the other day. She's blown away with the support in Florida. Like we thought we'd go down there and, you kind of hide out. Nobody knows you. I think I get recognized there more than here now. And, the support in Florida now is incredible. And it's pretty special to have a fan base in two places like I've been at. Obviously winning helps, and it brings a tremendous amount of recognition to the game in that area. But I enjoy it. I mean, I'm a fan of the game. I was a fan of the game growing up, and when I was young, like, I'll never forget that I met one of the guys that I looked up to, and he wasn't very nice to me, and I hated him after that. So I've always, as we all have bad days, I'm not perfect in every situation with fans, but I think it's fun to interact. They appreciate it, they enjoy it, and half the time when a fan says something to me and they're making fun of me or something, I say something back, they appreciate it, and they're like, man, I actually love you. Like, I didn't mean what I said, and so just like, I just don't think that happens very much in our sport where you interact a lot. But I think it's special to be in this position where, you do have people that recognize you and want to interact with you, and there'll be a time when it's done, and you won't be able to do it anymore. So I try to enjoy it and embrace it and have fun. I think I get a fun personality, and I just try to embrace that. Not all the time, but a lot of times.
Brad, the Olympics are a couple of months away. Do you allow yourself to think about that in the grind of a regular season?
Yeah, I think about it. I've thought about it for 12 years now. That's been one of the driving factors of my training and trying to push the play to this point. It's a position I never thought that I'd be in, to be able to potentially play for a team like that. So it's definitely something I think about now and I focus on. But to focus on that is more just preparing and making sure you're focused on each and every game and day, and doing the things that you have to do to have success. And what I mean by that is like, I don't mean scoring. I mean just like playing well and being really detailed in your game. So yeah, you can't think about it all the time, but it's in the back of my mind for sure.
Someone asked you what's the best thing about Boston. What would you say?
Fans, for sure. Hockey-wise, like, the city's incredible. I've lived in a bunch of different areas around here, and the city's incredible, but the fans make it awesome, and they're just very unique. Some of the stories and the things that I've seen fans do, and a lot of them aren't PG rated, in like playoff runs and stuff like that. it's so special and I think so unique to this area. You know, and I mean, it's as simple as like every time I'd go get a coffee, I'd go to the same routine, so same coffee shop every day. You know, message on your cup, you know, but if I had a good game or a bad game the night before, you know what I mean? Like, oh, tough one for you last night. So, I mean, all the way down, they bleed black and gold, and that's part of why I think there's so much pressure on the team to have success and why they focus on it so much is, I mean, you can't slip. I mean, you guys see it. You're all here every day, and like you don't have the ability to slip in the city, or you're going to hear about it. And you know, we wanted to produce and be good for the fans and live up to that reputation, and so it makes it special to play here.
Brad, I'm sure sometimes you didn't appreciate hearing about it in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Now with a little bit of distance, do you kind of appreciate that give and take?
From the fans?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, from the fans, from the media, like for everything. I mean, I think just as I've gotten older, I've been appreciated for it more. I don't take it as personal. You know, I know the fans are saying things and they're upset because they care. Like they want, like they're proud of their team and they want to be behind a team that competes and has success, and they want to see us win. You know, and the media, same thing. And so as before, when I was younger, I think I take it personally, and I feel like we're being attacked. And I felt like, you know, we're trying, and you know, we want to win just as bad. But at the same time, there's a responsibility that comes with this team, with playing with this team. And then that's what I grew to understand is it's not because they don't like you. It's because, you know, when you sign up to play here, you sign up to carry the burden of understanding that you need to have success here. And if you don't, you're going to hear about it, and you know, you better shut up and just take it because you know that when you sign up. So you know, you want to play for a fan base. You go to all these places around the league where people don't show up and don't care, and they don't say anything. They don't hear about hockey when you leave the rink. But this is a real sports city, so when you leave, you know, they care about it. You know, they'll take it home and wear it to work the next day, just like you do. You know, they don't just turn the TV off and forget about it. So when you have a fan base that's passionate like that, you know, you got to embrace it and appreciate it.
Brad, I was going to say, obviously a big deal is made about the culture here in Boston that you're such a part of. It feels like Florida has a great culture, has a great room.
Yeah.
After you got established, did you feel like there was anything you wanted to bring from what you had here in Boston in terms of little nuances? And if not, did you learn anything new about leadership here?
Yeah, I did. I mean, they have a phenomenal culture. Really impressed with the way things are done there. I mean, part of why I want to stay. I just, you know, they are on a mission right now, like from ownership down to be the best and to, you know, to exceed even what they accomplished last year. So, you know, I felt like I was learning. I have never been part of a different organization, so there's a lot for me to learn. I mean, when you're in one area, like you just learn what's around you. You know, it was a great learning opportunity for me to go in and see, you know, what their leadership group does and how they handle their day to day and from top down. So, I know I felt like I was learning more going in there than what I was bringing to the table. And also, I mean, I was in a different position. Like, I didn't have to go in and be the leader. It was just another guy kind of pulling on the rope. So it was a great opportunity for me to just kind of sit back and see what everyone was doing. Not sit back, but like just watch what other guys were doing, learn from them, and be in a different room, different environment. It was just, you know, it was a nice opportunity to grow. And it was obviously a new experience, and you can learn a lot from that. You can learn a lot from, you know, failures and everything. So try to take the things that I learned here. Yeah, I mean, the reason why I think that the team is so strong and has had so much success lately is, like, I don't look at anyone in there and be like, oh, that guy needs to learn. Like, everyone's pretty good leader in their own right. Now they got some young guys they're kind of coming up and are going to have some very bright futures. But The way these guys handle their day-to-day is extremely impressive. No? Cool. Thanks, everyone. Yeah, see you tomorrow.
All right, there he goes. I mean, that was a mouthful. There was a lot of different emotions between obviously his role with the Florida Panthers and then obviously what Boston has meant to him. He did mention something that we should all process though. When he had the chance to come back, even though he didn't play, it was more of his goodbye tour because everything happened so quickly. He didn't get a chance to say goodbye. So he did mention that off the top of the press conference. So now, different level of emotions to weather. And then it's obviously going to be way different when you are suited up to play against your former teammates. So as you guys process that press conference, we're going to go to a quick break here and then recollect on the other side here on the Hockey Hub. All right, welcome back in. We just heard from former Boston Bruins captain Brad Marchand and the encompassing journey that it's been between going to the Florida Panthers and now being back to play against the Boston Bruins for the first time, second trip to Boston since the trade. He broke down the emotions and how he was actually more emotional coming to TD Garden today versus the previous time. And of course, because this time he's going to be suiting up. Sophia mentioned it off the top of the show that a number of tickets to have fans and family just there to support him versus the Boston Bruins till tomorrow night. Something that plays along the lines of emotion. And while Brad is processing it, I'm sure minute by minute throughout tomorrow and throughout the game, is that can play into special team situations. It can play into momentous situations. We talked about the power play and the penalty kill for the Boston Bruins time and time again throughout the road trip and off the top of the show today. Let's hear from Pavel Zacha for a minute before we tie this all together.
I think, there was a lot of special teams. I think a lot of penalty kill for us. I think Corpi was unbelievable, kept us in the game. I think 5-on-5 were pretty even. I just think, 2-2 game, we're close and we couldn't get it done again today. So that's, this road trip's behind us. Hopefully we can learn from the mistakes we made, and when we come home we need to win against Florida.
A lot of penalties committed on this trip. What's the key to cleaning that up moving forward?
Yeah, I think, one thing is having good penalty kill. I think we killed a lot of those, but also, there's a lot of guys who need to, play more minutes, 5-on-5. They kind of cuts them off a little bit of the ice time. So I think as a team you have to decide, if you have to win games, especially against teams who have great power plays like we played the last 3-4, we have to, stay out of the box, and that's going to give us a way better chance to win a game.
How did it feel for you flipping back to center?
Yeah, it felt good. I love playing center. It's just more natural to me a little bit, playing face-offs and stuff. So I wish I could have done more to help the team win, but it felt good being back on a center.
It's been hard for you guys to play with a lead for the last 3 or 4 games. Second period, you had it for, 8 or 10 minutes there. Mm-hmm. Did you feel some confidence in that? Things were building a little?
Yeah, I think we felt better this game, I think, than the last two. We're building. We're feeling, especially 5-on-5. I think we outplayed them a little bit, and then, we just can't finish in the third period. I think those are the things that we have to learn as a team to win these games. And I know it's still start of the season, but those are the important points that we need to get. So that's something to focus on moving forward.
Marco was telling us this afternoon that after the game last night that he wanted more from you and more from Pasta, and he explained that to you guys. Mm-hmm. Did you understand what he was saying?
Yeah, for sure. We had meeting with Marco personally, and some guys had to, and we also knew that that wasn't good enough, especially for our team. We need to really step up our game, and the last 2 games weren't good enough. And I think we took a little step today to being more effective, but there's a lot of room to improvement for us for sure.
What do you think gets you out of this? Get you over the hump here, not you individually,
mm-hmm.
the team.
Yeah, I think staying more 5-on-5. I think being outplaying the team's 5-on-5 game. I think that's something, being in a box 7-6 times, it's just hard to win games. But I think, especially in other games, playing to the third period and being in the game and then being able to kind of win, not playing 6-on-5 every game, kind of being in the lead, and we can win against anybody. But I think those are the key details we have to get better at.
The thing about the penalties, is it the work that it takes to kill them, or is it the fact that it just takes the flow out of your game?
Yeah, I think, I think we had, great kills, so I don't think it takes fully flow out of the players who are playing the penalty kill, but I think there's a lot of guys who are not playing penalty kill. Top 6 guys, not that many of them play it, so that kind of takes them out of the game a little bit. You're if you play that many, you get a lot of guys tired for the third period when you just kind of skate back and forth and without the puck. So that's something that takes a lot of guys out of their game.
All right, we've seen the penalty kill end up being a burst of energy for this Boston Bruins team, but as Zaka basically just put it, you don't want to rely heavily on that. Now, we touch on special teams and we throw to Zaka for a reason. Pasta echoed the fact that the Boston Bruins do need to clean up penalties, stay out of the box, and he also followed that up by saying that he knows that Brad Marchand is probably going to run his mouth tomorrow night. I'm sure he knows how to get under the skin of a lot of his former teammates, so it's going to be a bigger battle mentally in a number of ways. The last thing you want to do is give a power play opportunity to the first unit, projected first unit for the Florida Panthers that resides with Brad Marchand and Sam Reinhart and Lundell, some playmakers that can make things happen as they try to get back into the winning column themselves. But this is also a team that can kind of fight back in a number of ways because the Panthers' back end has changed up quite a bit. Nico Mikkola was on the ice today at practice at TD Garden, so that is a healthy sign for the Panthers. But I mean, they've still lost a number of figureheads for their team and leaders. So seeing Brad Marchand try to be a leader for the Panthers, see him try to get under the skin for the Boston Bruins, we will see how they tango the mental battle ahead as they reunite and go against their former captain at TD Garden tomorrow. Don't forget, pre and post, even though Nesson's not carrying the game, make sure you join Sophia and company. That's a wrap for us here on the Hockey Hub. We'll catch you guys back here on Friday at 1 p.m.